Hello everybody, welcome back to Norwich Talk for a match reaction. Norwich City have just comprehensively beaten Millwall 2-0 at Carrow Road. Sadly, I couldn't be there tonight, but I did watch it on Sky Sports. I promise I'm not sat outside, I am sat inside. I know there are bricks behind me, but Norwich City, a very, as I said, comprehensive win. One I'm quite pleased with. I think it was a pretty good performance overall. It's kind of difficult to say when we've just won 2-0, but I'd give it perhaps sort of a 7.5 out of 10. But considering how the season started, where everything was quite shaky, I think that kind of win is going to be very important for Dean Smith and Norwich City in terms of controlling the game, being quite defensively solid. I know Millwall had, I'd say, probably two golden opportunities, real one golden, one sort of half chance, but I think Norwich were pretty defensively solid by the own standards that they've set so far this season. Going forward, a bit blunt at times, but the goals were really, really good for very different reasons as well, which I am looking forward to getting into. Now, the lineup, pleased with it. You know, the performance against Huddersfield, which I didn't do a video for, I do apologise, but the lineup, pleased with it. It was very good against Huddersfield. I quite enjoyed it. Yeah, a little bit shaky on the back foot, which is what my sort of thoughts were ahead of the game, thinking and maybe worrying a little bit as to whether they would be up for the task in terms of defending. They were. One change, of course, being Todd Cantwell being dropped for Onel Hernandez. He came off the bench against Huddersfield and was just dynamite. This game, meh. But let's talk about the game as a whole. I think the first half, sorry, yeah, it was all right. I think it's kind of a safe bet, and it's kind of a safe thing to say that Norwich did sort of control the ball and look quite comfortable. And going forward, there was kind of a case of sort of the Dean Smith syndrome so far, which is I thought the press looked quite good. It looked well structured. You know, I was sort of thinking during the game, it's all well and good. You can run around like headless chickens, but if your press isn't structured, if it's not sort of a team effort, then it's ineffective. And Norwich's was pretty good. They did reduce Millwall to long balls, which I've not watched Millwall much, you know, in terms of watching them when they play Norwich, but typically that is kind of their style anyway. But Norwich were reducing them to sort of not being able to play on the floor very effectively anyway. Defensively, yeah, I thought they were pretty solid. It's just going forward, there was kind of something missing. For me, my thoughts at the sort of half-time mark were that Nunez was kind of being held back a bit. Seth made a very good point. Seth Ballard made a very good point during the game, which was he was almost being marked out of the game, and I think Nunez's best position is going to be in the 10. He was kind of playing in that 8, sort of as a middle 3, really, wasn't he? And it was just a bit too deep for me because on the ball he's so brave, he's so confident, and he has that creative spark. He is probably going to be a cult hero at Norwich City. He's already making himself one in such a short space of time. You know, when Buendia left and sort of Norwich's marquee players left, you looked at that squad and thought, there's no heroes, there's not really anyone you go there to watch. I think Marcelino Nunez is exactly that, and it's really exciting. And tonight was a solid performance from him. I think it was a solid performance from everyone, to be honest. And at half-time, I was a bit like, right, stick or twist, and we saw Dean Smith twist a little bit against Huddersfield, and the game petered out slowly, really, didn't it? And I think the changes didn't really positively impact the game, but he stuck with this sort of starting 11 and was proven wise for that decision, in my opinion. The second half was a bit better. It sort of took a little bit to get going, but I'd like to copy and paste my initial points about the first half and then add in 2 really good goals. The first goal being a wonderful little move, a very direct move, one that kind of reminds me of the goal versus Sheffield United at home, where it was sort of only forward passes, couple of touches, bang, goal. That Norwich City, you know, if we'd scored that goal under Daniel Farke, we'd be talking about what a tactical genius Daniel Farke is. So let's hold that energy when a Dean Smith side scores that kind of goal. It was wonderful movement. Danel Sinani with that killer pass again to Josh Sargent, and the finish was immaculate. It's nice to see Sargent score sort of a very calm and to use that word again, comprehensive goal without using his head or relying on a world-class flick. It was a proper striker's bit of movement, a proper striker's finish. It was really good to see from Sargent, who was absolutely phenomenal today, and I'm absolutely delighted for him at that. The second goal, again, on the theme of Josh Sargent, proper hustle, proper sort of physicality. I think he's clearly proven that physically he's up to the game, and on the ball sometimes he's a bit clumsy, but the goal was just a perfect combination of both, in between that sort of sandwich of Millwall players where Gary Rowett was just crying about it being a foul. Yeah, I think it was a foul from Sargent, but I also think Sargent was being fouled, and in my opinion, in that situation where you're just kind of gently fouling each other, play on. May the best man win. Josh Sargent broke free. Nice pass, well, a beautifully weighted pass from Kieran Dow, who decided to drift back into the game for that one moment. And it was just a proper good finish. I'm thinking, please, for the love of God, Josh, just square it. But no, it was very composed and he took it beautifully. And it's going to be giving Dean Smith a headache because on the bench he's got, as the Sky Sports graphic showed, he's got a striker who scored 55 championship goals in, what was it, 82, 83 championship games, which is ridiculous. And on the pitch in sort of the centre forward position, he's got a very young and hungry striker who's, he's made it clear. He made it clear in his interview after the Huddersfield game that he prefers playing as a number 9, and he's banging the goals, and in a very sort of stylistic manner at that, which is absolutely wonderful to see. And I think that's all I have to say on the game. I think McLean at left back was all right. Let's just give him a quick mention. He was all right. There was that one bit at the end, really, where I thought, for goodness sake, that's clearly where the inexperience of being a sort of midfielder in left back showed, where he overcommitted himself. But beyond that, pretty decent. Big Andy just cruised the game as he always does. Who else was there? Yeah, do you know what? We'll call it a day there. I think Onel Hernandez, for me, I want to see him come off the bench because I think that sort of dynamite is more effective towards the end of a game. He had some flashes of excellence. He's really sort of proving me wrong. I was convinced that Norwich should get rid, but he's showing flashes of his former self and Onel Hernandez that we fell in love with, because on the ball he's just so brave, and not only is he brave and willing to take players on, he's getting random with absolute ease. But it's a positive place to be right now, Carrow Road. I think everything regarding Norwich City is feeling a bit more positive. There are still players to come back from injury. You've got the left-back crisis that needs to be solved ASAP because McLean isn't a permanent solution. It's not Sorensen, who we know can play there. So that needs to be resolved. My suggestion is Jamal Lewis on loan, but that is probably sort of maybe shooting for the stars, maybe a bit too ambitious. I don't know what his situation is at Newcastle, but it just kind of seems like it would be a perfect fit, really. He needs football. Norwich need a left back. He knows the club. We know him. You never know. And you've got other players like Isaac Hayden to come back, Gabriel Sara, who isn't injured, but a new signing who is very highly thought of to come into the mix. It's all quite positive, and it's nice. It's a breath of fresh air. Carrow Road was a pretty depressing place, and I would much rather have been there than listening to Don Goodman's sort of drivel tonight. But it's a positive place to be, and we'll enjoy it all the more. I'm sure this Tuesday against Bournemouth, where hopefully we see another good performance at Carrow Road, better one than the last round in the Cup. But until then, we might do a podcast, we might not. I think I'll definitely do a preview. But yeah, keep well, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.